Hello and welcome to episode 31 of the Long Shot Podcast, brought to you by 342 Productions. I'm your host, Duncan Robinson, as always, and I am here with my good friend and co-host, Davis Reid. Davis, how are we doing?
I'm so great. How are you?
I'm doing well. You know, we're coming off a fantastic weekend, a celebration of love and life. My sister got married this past weekend on Saturday. Davis somehow snagged himself an invite. I'm still not entirely sure how. No, obviously Davis is close with our entire family, so made an appearance, and we had a great time.
It was fantastic. We were planning on getting an in-person interview in for this week's episode. That did not happen, but we got Tommy for an awesome conversation. But the reason we did not get the in-person interview in is because you gave an amazing speech at the wedding. In the ceremony, you were actually kind of like the focal point of the ceremony, which I thought was a little selfish on your part. But you gave a great speech, and so you were honing that speech and practicing it on Saturday when we were going to do this interview. But you did crush it, so I just wanted to give you your flowers on this podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Could have been a little bit better. You know, I would actually more so appreciate some constructive criticism. I think that would actually be better for me than just kind of, showering me with praise. What do you got?
I do have some constructive criticism. You had some emotions creeping up during the speech, which makes sense. You were speaking at your older sister's wedding, and I thought you really fought them. I thought you really repressed the emotion. I thought if you let it go and maybe even shed a tear or two, it would have really dialed up the emotion from the crowd and would have helped the scene a little bit. Thought you fought it a little too hard.
So before there's like headlines going everywhere saying that I was like bawling, I did get a little bit emotional. Want to get out in front of that. You know, my older sister is, she's my older sister. She's one of the best human beings I've ever had the pleasure of knowing. And the fact that she has found, everlasting love is special. And then of course I'm tasked to speak to that. I mean, that's a challenge in and of itself. I don't consider myself an overly emotional person. In fact, I've actually gotten criticism for actively repressing my emotion.
Yeah, you feel nothing.
Yeah, and not sharing. But I will say, like, in this moment, it was kind of like an avalanche. It was kind of like one of those things where it's like, gosh, like what is that feeling? Like I'm feeling feelings, It was like that. It was like a weird moment of like existential crisis of like, oh, so that's what it feels like to be emotional.
To be alive.
Yeah. Anyways, we had a great weekend. It was a ton of fun. There was a video going around on our social media of some just classic 2-on-2 up at the school, the local elementary school. And that was a great time. Davis and I came away with a win, which, if you know anything about those two teams, Davis and Duncan versus Chris and Harry, it's a bitter rivalry that goes all the way back. And it was just great to know that the long shot duo secured the latest chapter of that matchup.
How's the saying go? The most important game was the last one, or maybe, whatever, when you're talking about a series. We are on top, and we're going to remain on top until they knock us off that mountain, which I don't see happening anytime soon. Yeah, this game it took place on the Duncan Robinson Court, which we documented over the weekend on social media. But your elementary school dedicated the outdoor playground to you, which is an amazing honor. The school's right across the street from your mother's house, so we made sure to go check it out. I will say, it was almost like Field of Dreams. You know how players just start showing up out of the cornfield? That's kind of how it was with the fans when we were playing. It's like before I knew it, 20 minutes in, it was like there was 15 people from the community just watching. I think that's the impact that you have on them. They get wind. I don't even know how. Maybe there's like a neighborhood group thread, but they get wind that Duncan Robinson has graced his own basketball court. And then before you know it, it's like standing room only.
Probably giving me a little too much credit. But I mean, it's a small, tight-knit community. So as you can probably imagine, word travels pretty quickly. So, and not to mention, it's like an elementary school. So when the four of us, we're not exactly normal looking or like par for the course of who's usually playing on there. I mean, sure. I'm obviously tall, but then our other buddy, Chris, who was a Division I college basketball player turned what is he? Is it? That's not bodybuilding. What is it? It's
fitness trainer slash
yeah. I mean,
body
he
builder.
participates in like physique competitions, and he is massive,
larger than any human should be.
Yeah. So I think when you like see that visually, you're like, oh wow, something's going on here. Even if you don't exactly know me or whatever, like you're just kind of like appalled by the fact that all of these grown individuals are playing on this children's court. But we had a ton of fun. It was a blast. The whole weekend was a great time. But yeah, now I'm back in Miami. I'm here for the foreseeable future, outside of a quick trip to Ann Arbor, which I'm taking this weekend to take in a Michigan football game. Go Blue as always. But other than that, I'm back in Miami gearing up for a big season.
Yeah, exciting for you to be back there. Exciting that the season's around the corner. One more quick thing on your impact in New Hampshire. I had someone come up to me at your sister's wedding, and they started talking about you, and they were talking about your impact on their kids. It was a mother. She was talking about the impact on her kids who are from Newcastle, from your area. And she said, my son and all his friends now think they can go pro because of Duncan. It's like they're all in Little League and they want to play in the MLB because of Duncan. And it struck me. I just thought it was really special. I mean, your elementary school you went to, you had what, 4 kids in your class, I think?
Yeah, I was one of 4.
It's not a massive community. Like you said, it's a tight-knit community, but your impact on people, I mean, it was very evident at the wedding, just that the way that people viewed you, I just thought was really special. I think you've earned that. But it was really cool for me to see. I hadn't been boots on the ground like that and seen your presence in Newcastle, New Hampshire recently. But boy, is it different than 2013 when we were, high school kids and no one really cared who you were.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a lot has changed since 2013. Probably most notably your flourishing podcasting career, because you have really continued your meteoric rise to stardom as basically Joe Rogan's counterpart and opposition. So let's all just take a moment to celebrate that, how far Davis has come. All right, well, we want to get right to it with Tommy because we have a fun conversation. I know, Dave, you wanted to touch on a long shot feature though. So what do we got?
Yeah, we're going to skip our Reddit question of the week this week. Apologies, but I do have to shout out my cousin, Reid Sinnett. This week's long shot feature, 3rd string quarterback for the Dolphins, was on the practice squad last year. But this dude is the definition of an underdog, definition of a long shot. Dunk played 1 year of high school football, 1 year, his senior year. That he was on the bench before that, but played well enough to get a spot at the University of San Diego. That's a really storied program, though, out there in the WCC. So they had some stud quarterbacks coming in. My cousin didn't play there until his senior year. So played 1 year of high school football, then got to play 1 year of college football. But he balled out his senior year at San Diego. They won the conference, played well enough to generate some interest in the NFL, got signed to the Buccaneers practice squad before last season, but got cut, and then got picked up by the Dolphins, was their practice squad quarterback. No preseason last year because of COVID, so he didn't really get a chance to play. Or a shortened, different preseason. So he didn't really get any reps until this past week. He got his first ever start in the final preseason game for the Dolphins and just absolutely balled out. Threw for 343 yards, 2 touchdowns, led a late game comeback, was capped off by a 4th and 15 Hail Mary to win the game, Dunk. I don't know if you saw the highlight. It made its rounds on social media. But talk about maximizing your opportunities. This guy gets 1 year of high school, maximizes opportunity. 1 year of college, maximizes opportunity. And then gets one chance in the preseason to play a full game and just absolutely maximizes his opportunity. So got to give him a shout out. Shout out to Reid. Only good things coming for him in his football career.
Love the personal touch on this week's long shot feature. Reid's a fantastic human being. I texted him after seeing it, and he tried to come at me with some sort of like, oh, lucky, blah, blah. I'm like, no. You create and make your own luck. And you've earned those opportunities, and you've earned the fact that you've made the most of them. I hope that Reid is a staple moving forward in South Florida. And the beautiful thing is, even if he's not, he's going to have an NFL career. And I believe that wholeheartedly. So shout out to Reid. He's also a weekly listener. And, obviously we have a soft spot for those as well.
Of course.
Anyways, fantastic long shot feature. Dial in for a fantastic conversation with Tommy Alter. He's a mysterious guy. We get right down to the bottom of it. Kind of unearth some of his previous occupations as well as kind of how he moves in his different circles. But I think you guys will enjoy this one. Obviously a fun conversation considering we know him well. So yeah, stay tuned for Tommy Alter.